Hey Internet, welcome back to What's the Points? Today I'd like to walk you through my latest obsession with airline status. In particular, I am matching over from top tier American Airlines Executive Platinum status to United 1K Premier status. Now, I fly principally out of the SFO airport in California, and United has over 50% of the flights from here. Consequently, status is counterintuitively not always that useful here. And indeed, that's why I've been pursuing American status, although also because it's actually much easier to get. However, I thought I might as well just check it out because this is most likely going to be the only time I ever get to experience what top tier United status is like. So this will give me a chance to try it out for 4 months. Now, I could have matched to a lower level, one that I might have actually been able to meet the status challenge. As it is, I'm going to have a hard enough time hitting the threshold for silver status is 1700 PQP, and that's premier qualifying points. You have to spend $1,700 on United flights, or you can use award flights where each mile that you spend on fare also counts as 1 PQP, so like $1 worth of spend. Generally, while that's great that you can get PQP from award earning, from mileage award flights, because you're getting better value from those miles than you would actual dollars, it has the ironic effect of earning you fewer PQPs even though you're getting a better value. And indeed, this really exposes the whole main failing with airline status with any carrier, at least in my opinion, any carrier that is using this newer model of revenue-based loyalty. There's still a few carriers out there like Alaska who, generally speaking, award status as well as redeemable miles based on actual miles, like miles flown. Who knows how much longer Alaska will have that. But I thought, hey, let's try this out for 4 months, see what it's like. See, after now trying AA and consequently Alaska status due to their partnership for the last year, I'll have 4 months to compare it to United and just to do my research on that. One of the things that I'm also working on is to see if I can hit that threshold for United Silver status. Now, this is something that I'd like to crowdsource some help from y'all out there. I was looking at the terms and conditions of status match. And buried really far down, if you read carefully, it actually seems to imply that United has the discretion to award you a lower level of status if that's what you're able to meet during the challenge period. So that's really my question. I actually asked this question on Flyer Talk, and someone responded that it is possible, but generally unlikely. So I don't know. Someone else chimed in and said, oh, well, you shouldn't be gaming the system like that. And I thought that's an interesting thing. I mean, this is, for one thing, this is all a big game, right? And another thing is who's really going to lose out if I get silver status? As it is, I know there's hordes of people with top tier 1K status that aren't even getting upgrades. So I don't think anyone's getting upgraded anywhere with United Silver status, certainly not out of a major hub like SFO. No, for me, I find that the benefits of status extend way beyond simply whether or not you can be put on an upgrade list. It's always nice when you can get those. But that in and of itself, from my experience, as nice as it can be, and even arguably as valuable as that can be, I think the actual bigger value comes from having easier access to help when you need it, such as during irregular operations, cancellations and delays, and those kinds of things, as well as having more choice over seat selection. And sure, a lot of the benefits that you get from status, certainly at the lowest level of status on most airlines, like silver status on Delta Airlines, for example, which is pretty easy to get. You just need to have 2 of their premium credit cards, for example, is that you really are not getting significantly better benefits than you would get from having a mid-tier or top-tier credit card, which, even though those have increasingly high annual fees now, are significantly easier and less expensive than going through some status pursual game. So for me, this whole experiment with status is a question of, can I do this organically? And that's a little tough because I am not a road warrior. I don't get paid to fly. Really what this is about is, what can I do? Process of actually taking a lot of trips. As it happened, I had a lot of United trips this summer. I've been trying to book as many Alaska and AA flights, and I have a fair amount this year in order to take advantage of the status and try it out. But, when you're flying out of a hub that's where half the flights are coming from one airline, it's impossible to avoid flying with them sometimes, especially if you're not made out of free time and you need to get where you're going without having crazy itineraries and actually having some nonstop flights to certain places that you couldn't get otherwise. And that just happened to be my travel plans this summer. And I thought, well, that's a good chance, A, not only to try out the status match benefit, but B, to see whether or not it actually might be possible to fly enough to hit that silver threshold. And so that's really the question, again, that I would like some input from here. First of all, do you believe that that's possible, that they will award you a lower level of status even if you don't match to that level? In other words, I'm matching to Premier 1K. I'm not going to meet that. I'm not going to meet Platinum. I'm not going to meet Gold. I'll have a hard enough time meeting Silver, but I can do it with a little bit more finagling. I can hit that 1700 PQP. But even doing that, I have to kind of break my rule a little bit. I mean, it's not quite as organic. For me, organic is what's going to give me the best experience overall for the best value, right? It's an optimization problem. The best experience for the money. And so that involves a lot of research. It involves using award search tools. It involves using Google Flights and comparing, should I use cash? Should I use points or miles? Right now, it helps that I have the American Express Business Platinum, which, as you may know, has a superpower of giving you 1/3 of your points back as a rebate if you redeem them on your selected airline. And now that I think about it, you can also do that for first class on any airline. But, I think in general, especially for domestic first class, most of the time it's not a good value, points or miles. There are exceptions for sure. Sometimes like close-in upgrades. If they haven't sold all of first class, you'll get like in-app upgrade opportunities that might be super cheap, that kind of thing. But usually booking in advance, you're not going to find a good value in first class. And so if you've selected United as your airline in this example, then anytime you want to redeem your Amex membership rewards points, so for example, let's say it's 60,000 points. 60,000 would correspond to a $600 fare. So instead of, when you're going into Amex Travel and you're booking that flight and it costs $600, you have the option of, instead of spending cash, to redeem points. And you say, are you sure you want to do this? You're going to redeem 60,000 MR points. And after you go through that, a few days later, you'll see a rebate of 20,000 points come back into your account. So you've actually only spent 40,000. So that effectively gives you just a little bit more than 1.5 cents per point, which you'll know if you're familiar with other premium travel cards. That also happens to be the superpower of the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. And while that allows you to redeem ultimate rewards on any travel you book at all, for me, I'd rather use those on a Hyatt, right? We can't use Amex points on a Hyatt, and I've been playing the Hyatt game a lot. And in fact, that's some of what's fueling this. Check out my forthcoming video pretty soon will be on what I'm doing with Hyatt and this whole mattress run obsession that I've been diving into the Hyatt hotel status game. And so getting back and forth to certain properties that allow me to do that is part of what is going to be allowing me to fly this summer. If I spend a little bit more than I would otherwise, I have maybe the chance of hitting silver, which, as far as I can tell, the only real benefit that you get from Silver that you wouldn't get from either of the two flavors of Chase United Club Card is being able to select an economy plus seat within 24 hours of the flight. So if there's still some seats left, which most likely there would be, then you'll be able to pick them. And so that's pretty cool because those can be kind of expensive. And I don't know why they charge so much. And Delta does a little bit as well. You're really only getting a little bit more leg room and you're sitting a little bit further forward. I don't know if that's really worth it so much. I kind of feel like if you want to spend more, you should just hold out and get first class. But, then again, I'm not super tall. So, I can make do. But I got to say, it's for really upping the frequency of how often I've been flying. It's been really nice to sit farther forward in the plane. But yeah, that all said, it's probably better to just pay for, for example, a preferred seat is a way of spending a little bit more and sitting reasonably further forward. And you don't necessarily need to splurge on economy plus. So I don't know. I think in the process of making this video, I'm kind of talking myself out of United Silver again. There's always little perks. Sometimes there's greater award availability. Again, that's another thing too, where there's certain types of, I believe they're called XN fares, which are like Super Saver awards on United. And as far as I know, you have the same access to them with any, correct me if I'm wrong, any Chase United card. So if that's the case, then I don't see how status gives you any additional benefit. So let me know if I'm incorrect about that. I know there's a few of us out here who do have United status and could probably speak to that better. But that's what I'm up to. That's the experience that I'm doing now. And this is just to introduce you to something that I've been putting a lot of time and thought into. And not because I think it's particularly important, but it's just one of these things that if you're going to be flying a lot, and particularly if you've already earned status somewhere else, then why not try it out? And here's one last thing I'll leave you with. This was really why I wanted to match to the top tier level. I could have matched directly to Silver. Like, for example, I have Southwest A-list status. Southwest A-list is actually really useful, but I'll leave that for another video. I could have matched from Southwest A-list over to United Silver, and then for sure I wouldn't have any question about being able to meet. But here's the catch. With United, you only get once every 5 years to do any kind of status match. So I thought, hey, I've got top tier AA this year. Almost certainly it's going to be the last year I ever, because it wasn't worth that extra push that I had to do to get from the second highest level of AA, which is Platinum Pro, up to the top level, Executive Platinum. I did it more out of curiosity than anything else, but pretty much as expected. It wasn't really worth the extra push, especially because if you're getting AA status largely to be able to get upgrades on Alaska, then Alaska doesn't even recognize that top tier. You max out at Platinum Pro. You max out at that second highest level on AA as far as your place in line on Alaska, right? So I thought, this is the last chance I'll have. I might as well use that for my once in 5 year opportunity to see what kinds of upgrades I get and maybe make some interesting videos. Who knows? So hope you're all doing well out there. Hope you're enjoying this spring, if that's the time of year that you're watching this. And looking forward to reporting out on how the summer of travel goes. Be good to each other, y'all. Ciao for now.